And we are live.
Hello,
live
everybody.
Casa Sheridan, Podfeet
Live
Studios.
from home.
Live from home. And not that other place.
That's right. Well, Lynn can attest that I can stand with a walker.
Yes.
Is my walker in view?
Bolstered by homemade brownies.
Yes, I have managed to. That's got me going. Be able to go today. All right. I have a limited amount of time I can sit in this chair.
Then you better go through roll call.
Yes, I'm going to do roll call. We've got Kevin and Bruce and Frank and Mike and Lynn and John and Sandy and Steve and Zoe. I know. What?
Go ahead.
You said,
Well, I was another topic. Go ahead.
Oh, my studio is upstairs. So studio's upstairs, shower's upstairs, bedroom's upstairs, no bedrooms downstairs, a quarter bath downstairs that I could barely get my walker into.
Not good for showering.
No. It was, if I stayed downstairs, I think Steve would have to just hose me off in the backyard every couple of days. So, but hey, it was over 90 degrees today, so maybe that would have been fun.
So I'm putting in the chat room a little video of Allison demonstrating her move of her new rebuilt hip and femur.
It's not rebuilt; it's bolted back together.
Bolted together, and it's got a little background music, the same music our granddaughters used to do their ballet with.
That's actually an exercise set I'm supposed to do. So, wait, I can hear it.
That's because it's playing through my speakers. I'll stop it.
But I shouldn't. Oh, so it's coming into your mic?
My mic. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Should
I let you get going?
I think we should go. All right. All right, here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, March 8th, 2026, and this is show number 1087. Well, I hope you can tell this is my big girl microphone, and I'm calling to you from home. But before we get started, I want to thank all of you who reached out with your well wishes for a speedy recovery. You know, it wasn't just the volume of kind messages that made me feel all warm and fuzzy. It was some of the more personal notes from people who said that I'm loved. You have no idea what an impact that had on me at a time I really needed it. Many messages were even from folks with whom I've never directly interacted and, of course, never met in person. It literally brought tears to my eyes. The good news is that I escaped rehab. The good news is that I escaped the rehab hospital on Saturday, just 9 days after snapping the old femur. Thank you again for all of your love, and please think about Steve now, who will be literally waiting on me hand and foot for at least another 3 weeks. I can only walk with a walker, hopping on my good leg and using the bad leg with a toe tip for balance. So he's got a lot of work to do.
But I'm up to the challenge.
Yeah, I think you are. You're a very good caregiver.
Not bad.
No, you're good.
I don't think I could do it as a profession.
No, but you're I don't know. You've always been like the best host. I'm not a good host. People have to ask me if they want a drink or something, you know. It's like, go get it yourself. And you've always been the one who anticipates that, you know, somebody's glass is empty or whatever. So, I don't know. I know that you're going to do well.
You're generally a good patient, shall we call it.
I only hit the wall once when I was I think we were still in the hospital. And the hospital tables have a flat table and then like another table underneath. And that table can go forward underneath or backwards underneath. And we had a bunch of stuff on top and food on one side of it. And I slid my chair and that pushed it. And all of a sudden all the food started falling and I burst into tears. That was the only time I really was depressed about this whole thing.
Kevin, I'm not that good of a caregiver. No water delivered to Virginia.
Thank you for the heart, Zoe. All right. Let's throw in a little jingle. Well, I wanted to let you know that my travelogue of our adventures in Finland and Estonia is available for your reading and downloading pleasure. You may remember that I write a daily travelogue on our more interesting trips, delivering them via email to those who opt into reading it that way. I got to tell you, I'm always kind of surprised at how much people love these letters. People ask to get on this list. I guess it's because my letters are low on facts, high on humor, and include carefully curated photos. For example, this travelogue includes a photo of Steve and me in front of the Helsinki Cathedral, and there's a statue behind us. Here's an example of how I described it. Here's a sample of how I described it. Here's a sample of how I described it. The statue is of some dude named Alexander II. Not sure what he has to do with the cathedral. I even read the plaque on it, and it said, "The statue speaks to you." That's it. That's all you get in this kind of a travelogue. Now, if that doesn't make you rush over to the link in the show notes to read about Estonia, Finland, and all of the other amazing countries we've visited, I don't know what will.
I just noticed at the bottom of that
That I'm not
the
done.
collection of travelogues, you still have 3 or 4 more countries that we visited, but you haven't put in there.
Yeah. Should I get on that?
Get on the stick.
Yeah, I forget. I mean, there's work to do to get through to those. So,
So you have written the travelogues, you just haven't published them. We haven't converted
well, yeah,
them
there's
to PDF.
the whole making sure they're in good shape as PDFs.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually on me, isn't it?
Maybe. Well, I don't know. And finding them and making sure they're in the right format. There's a bit to do there.
Yeah.
I'll put it on my to-do list. Travelogues. What are the ones that are missing?
UAE, India, and Nepal as a collection. That was one trip. England, Ireland, and Belgium as another trip.
Well, that's 15 years old.
It is. The other one's, it's 16. The other one's 11.
Just those two?
Yes, that you've listed. Right.
Okay. All right.
Sandy says something to do when you're bored.
Mm-hmm. her walk
Mike.
around does mine. I'm not sure Magellan traveled as much as the Sheridans. I like it. That'd be a good question. Probably not. All right. I thought it might be interesting to talk a little bit about tech in the hospital, since that's pretty much where my recent experiences lie. To give a little context, I spent 3 nights in the proper hospital, and then I was transferred to a rehab hospital where I spent another 6 nights. The first thing you're going to want to know about is the Wi-Fi, of course. In the proper hospital, we had a symmetrical 5 megabits per second. I know that's nothing to write home about, but it was consistently stable connection. As you heard last week, I was able to publish the show from my hospital bed. The main constraint there, since we didn't do a live show, was the time it would take to upload around 100 megabyte audio file. Since there are 8 bits in a byte, we can do the math to predict how long it would take to upload. 100 megabits per second times 8 megabits per megabyte divided by 60 seconds divided by 60 minutes equals 13 minutes to do the upload. Now, we tried to use Tailscale to tunnel... Can you edit that line right there, Steve, where I do the math? It says /minute. Oh,
I think
no,
that's
I said,
60
no, it was
seconds
correct.
per minute.
Yeah, it was correct, and I just said it wrong.
I think you said it wrong, yeah.
100 megabits per... 100 megabytes per second times 8 megabits per megabyte divided by 60 seconds per minute gives you 13 minutes to do the upload. I had that kind of time. Now, we tried to use a Tailscale to... I'm stumbling a lot, boy. Math to predict how long it would take to upload. We tried to use Tailscale to tunnel into our house using our Synology as an exit node to provide us a VPN, but it really seemed to bog things down. By the way, I just realized I've never explained what anything in that sentence means. I need to put that on my to-do list to talk about what I just did. Anyway, when we had to do anything sensitive, we just switched over to tethering from our phones since using Tailscale wasn't working for us. But then I moved to the rehab facility and it went completely in the pooper, if you'll excuse my French. While ping times and jitter weren't too bad, I was getting 1.17 megabits per second down and 2.82 megabits per second. But at least it was unstable. After a day or so of trying to make that work, I completely abandoned using the rehab Wi-Fi, and I only used AT&T tethering. Now, that sounds dandy and all, since I have an unlimited plan and LTE and all that, but I only... LTE 5G. Now that sounds dandy and all, since I have an unlimited plan and 5G, LTE and all that, but it turns out I only had 2 bars of 5G sometimes, and often only 1. For my last 2 iPad Pros, I've purchased them with eSIM capability, but I've always been too frugal to ever enable it. I already pay a fortune for the family plan for AT&T, and adding another $25 a month just seemed like a waste of time, since I could always tether off my phone. I thought, though, maybe this was the one time to make my life just a wee bit easier, even though tethering wasn't all that bad, in my opinion. At first, I tried to see if maybe I could get a Verizon or even GigSky eSIM to have some options for better coverage than AT&T in my location. But those plans were super expensive. GigSky was, I think, like $136 a month for unlimited, and Verizon was even more at around $160 a month. Even though it wouldn't give me any better signal, I treated myself to the $25 a month for AT&T on the iPad. Even with a poor signal, AT&T's downloads were pretty darn good at 37 megabits per second, but the uploads seemed to hover at just around 2 megabits per second. Now, another critical piece of tech when you've got dodgy Wi-Fi going on is called Online Check from CyndraSorhus.com. This little $5 menu app is designed to notify you when your Wi-Fi gets disconnected. There's a few options in there to play with. I have mine set to be visible in my menu bar at all times, but when my Wi-Fi goes down, it turns red and it makes a noise. I just learned, by the way, in looking at the documentation, that you can actually set a shortcut to do other things, like switch maybe to tethering from your phone when your regular Wi-Fi goes down and then switch itself back. Now, in the hospital, I used Online Check to let me know when my tethering had connected, so I knew I could start waiting for things to refresh at a very slow rate. Another reason this slow internet was annoying was that I was getting a real backlog of apps that needed to be updated. Xcode needed an update, and you're not doing that on this kind of connection. And even worse, there was an update to Mac OS. Shockingly, we did have a relatively successful Zoom call with our family on Friday night, even under these trying circumstances. But the clear solution for me was to get well enough to go home and get back to my gigabit symmetrical internet. By the time I left the hospital, I still needed 19 updates from the App Store, and an update to Mac OS had come out. That would have really gotten out of control if I hadn't escaped that rehab center. I wanted to talk a little bit about my charging strategy because I think I came up with a really good scheme. In any hospital, you're often limited to how many outlets you have access to. Imagine you only have one outlet. How would you take care of your iPhone, your Mac, your iPad, your wireless headphones, and your Kindle? Well, there is a mistake in that URL. I'm going to have to fix that one. Last July. There it is.
Which URL? I'm not seeing it.
Right after best charging strategy, last July, I'm going to send a new version to you right now.
The Charge Retro?
Where it says best charging strategy, 2 paragraphs below that. Just refresh and you don't need...
Yeah, mine worked. I don't know why yours didn't.
No, it's the one that says last July. That should be a link right there, and it's not.
Oh, the words last July?
Right after last July.
Oh,
last July I wrote up...
Gotcha.
Okay. Well, drink. Unplug all those devices. Are you allowed an extension cable? Well, this is like an extension cable. Last July, I wrote up the magic combination for travel charging. In my article, I explained that I combined the 3-in-1 Anker MagGo travel charger that Sandy reviewed for us with a Charge Retro 67 GAN charger block. As you know, we travel a lot, and this combination has been fabulous for simple trips like going down to see Lindsay and the more complex trips like to Finland. I can't even pronounce. As you know, Finland. As you know, we travel a lot, and this combination has been fabulous for simple trips like going down to see Lindsay and the more complex trips like our recent one to Finland. Having one device to charge my iPhone, Apple Watch, and AirPods, if I use those, is perfect with the Shard 67. With that 67-watt port on that device, I can charge my laptop, and two lower-powered USB-C ports provide... God, USB-C ports. With that 67-watt port for charging my laptop, I also have two lower-powered USB-C ports for charging other devices if I need them. For my hospital stay, I only needed one more device. Instead of plugging devices directly into the charger block, I connected a large battery to the charger first. And my large battery is a Basius laptop portable charger, which is 100 watts and 20,000 milliamp hours. But you can use any battery capable of charging, say, a big iPad or a MacBook if you have one of those. So I connected a single USB cable from the large battery to whatever device was thirsty at the time. With this configuration, the charger was always charging the battery, so if someone happened to knock the charger out of the wall, which seemed to happen several times in the hospital, the battery was still there to give me power until I could get somebody to plug it back in. Even with my high-demand use of my devices, I was able to stream Grey's Anatomy on my iPad for most of the evening and do my computing during the day on my Mac. I could unplug for a while and maybe give my headphones or my Kindle a little bit of juice. At night, I took the USB-C cable from the battery and then plugged it into the Anker 3-in-1 charger that Sandy recommended. This device lets me see my phone in nightstand mode while charging and charge my Apple Watch on the back. I still don't use my AirPods Pro very often, but if I did, I would be able to put them on this and keep them charged as well while I slept. I hope I've conveyed the simplicity of this method of charging rather than making it sound complicated. Think of it as a charging cable with an extension cord that gives you a battery in the middle. Remember, you're just lying there in bed most of the time, so moving one cable from device to device is pretty easy when everything is within arm's reach. Nothing is tucked behind the desk or anything like that. The biggest challenge was that the GAN charger block kept falling out or getting pulled out. I feel like somebody was unplugging it because it really was in there pretty securely. Now that I'm back home, I'm using the same strategy when I sit in my bed. Power adapter to USB-C cable to battery to USB-C cable. This gives me lots of length of the cables and lets me pull the power cable to the left side since the MacBook Air has ports on that side. Both ports on that side. Lets me pull the power cable to the left side, which is important because the MacBook Air has both ports on the left-hand side. Without this little extension that I do with the battery, I wouldn't be able to get the cable to the left side of the MacBook Air. Now let's talk about something silly. The first night I arrived in rehab, they put me in a double room. I'm not sure what happened, but in short order, a nurse came in and whispered to me that I was being moved to a single room. I never figured out why they did that for me, but I wasn't arguing. I was, as you can imagine, quite happy about that new development. I mention this because one technology that I found amusing was in the rehab hospital. Above each bed is a long set of fluorescent lights, one that points upward with kind of a mild light, one that points down to be more directional. As this light fixture is about 4 feet above the bed, the patient needs some method to cycle through the light options. The solution is a very long, maybe, 7 feet long, plastic ribbon that hangs down over the back of the bed. The ribbon is attached to a very strong mechanism that makes this super loud clunking sound each time you pull down to mechanically change the light setting. To simply turn off the light, you have to cycle through each of the options. I could not imagine how annoying this would be to a roommate. I pictured my first roommate having finally fallen asleep when I decided to turn my light off and scare her to death. I recorded the sound so you could really tell how loud this was.
Are you going to play it?
I am.
I tried to paste it in, but I couldn't.
Nah, good. I have a link to it. Hospital. Lights rehab. Here we go. It's terrible recording, but you'll love it. I recorded the sound so you could really tell how loud this was. Okay, the lights are off. Here I'm going to turn on the up light. Now the down light. Now both lights. And then off again. Isn't that awful?
Yeah, that pretty well demonstrates the the issue there. It's
I
too
hope
loud.
my noise control won't pull that out.
Ah, good point. Sounds like a stapler.
Yeah,
Kind of, Lynn. A big one.
yeah. Who designed that? Well, it's kind of like, the old fashioned outlets that used to be, or light fixtures in the ceiling where it had a string, a metal string with little balls.
Hanging from a fluorescent light, maybe, or
Well, no,
something.
like a light bulb usually, and they
Yeah.
just kind of went ka-chunk. It's that same kind of mechanism.
Yeah.
A floor nailer. All right, let's see. I'm going to record here. And then off again. I sure hope that my noise suppression on the way I process the audio made that come through. If it didn't, let's see, listener Lynn just described it in the live chat room as sounding like a stapler, and Grumpy said it sounded more like a floor nailer. But man, this thing was loud. I'm really glad I didn't disturb my new roommate. Now, a lot of healthcare providers in the U.S. use a system called MyChart. I'd heard many people sing the praises of this system over the years, but I've only very recently gotten to enjoy it. The effect from the patient side is that you have nearly instant access to things like lab reports. I was able to pull up my blood levels while I was in the hospital and see things like my hemoglobin and my hematocrit had plummeted. I asked questions of the doctor about what they meant. Don't worry, she explained. It turns out when you have surgery, you lose some blood, and those blood levels naturally drop. Nicely, over the course of the next 3 to 4 days, I was able to see the numbers go back up, and I was happy. I really like having that level of access to information to ask the right questions. Now, evidently, the system underneath MyChart is called Epic. I'm telling you this because while I was in the rehab center, the entire Epic system went down. Now, the effect of this was pretty catastrophic. Normally, after meeting with, say, physical therapy, the therapist goes to a computer and types in their notes about what happened during that session. When the system was down, they had to walk to the hospital, which was pretty close by, but maybe a 15-minute walk, and then fight for time on a computer that's now shared by every person working in the hospital and every person in the rehab center. The same problem went for the nurses. For example, they were supposed to be able to walk in, use a scanner to scan the wristband of the patient to make sure they're working on the right patient, then provide medication, which is then entered into the computer automatically. Without the computer system, they had to write everything down by hand and also go enter it into the computers over at the hospital. Now, this system outage lasted about a day and a half, and by the end of that time, the nurses and physical therapists were simply frantic. I remember this one nurse coming in going, "Oh, okay, what do you need?" I was like, "Oh, sweetie, whatever I need, no, you just go do what you got to do." The poor things were wasting so much time rushing back and forth and waiting to use the computer that they couldn't get everything done. You could tell they were really frustrated. To make this all even more entertaining, the internal phone system went down at the same time and actually lasted a bit longer than the outage of the computer system. This meant that instead of being able to dial your nurse or nurse's assistant directly from your room to ask for support, you could only use the call button. But most people resorted to just yelling from their rooms. It was terrible because you'd hear all these people just wailing, asking for help. Now, I was pretty ambulatory by that time, and when I needed something, I could just get myself out of bed with a little bit of pain, use my little walker to go to the door, and politely ask for help from anybody walking by. I felt terrible for everybody else, though. Now, it's not clear to me from talking to the nurses and nurse assistants exactly what happened. Everyone that I talked to said, "They told us it's the internet that's down." That wasn't a very satisfactory answer to me. I started searching online to see if there are any reports of a hack at this hospital, but I never found any evidence of that, so I guess that was good. Now, this is going to sound funny, but I think the best tech I ran across in the hospital was actually analog. I had physical therapy help me learn how to walk with the walker and climb stairs with Steve's assistance and to keep my strength up. I also had occupational therapy. These people have to clear you to prove that you can go potty by yourself and dress yourself in order to get out of the hospital. Jen was my occupational therapist and told me about something I could buy on Amazon called a hip kit. This hip kit comes with a bunch of fun toys. The most useful item in the box of toys is called a sock aid, or as Steve and I like to call it, a sock putter oner. The problem to be solved is that with a broken hip, it's not possible to pull your foot up to put on a sock. The sock aid is a plastic half cylinder that's kind of rounded at the top, kind of flares out at the top, and has 2 ropes connected to the sides with handles at the ends of the ropes. To use the sock aid, you stretch a sock wide and pull it up onto the semi-cylinder. You then hold onto the ropes and you throw the sock aid down on the floor and fish around with it trying to get it onto your foot. When you get the sock aid over your toes, All you do is just pull up on the ropes. They slide the sock and this whole sock aid thing onto your leg, and then you just keep pulling, and the sock aid comes out with the ropes. While I was still in rehab, Steve recorded a dandy video of me demonstrating the sock aid that you can watch in the show notes. Oh, you got one of the sock aids? Okay, I can put the sock aid video in.
Oh, I tried to do that, and it said it's too large. I thought
it's about... Okay, well, let's do this.
I think I got the smaller one. Let's see.
Yeah, it's big. Let me just give him the link.
Yeah. Yeah, 13.
I think it's 11 or 13.
It's 13 meg, so I think 10 might be the limit.
Yeah. Use a sock aid every 8, do you? You can see the video in the blog post, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And it plays.
Okay, good.
Oh, by the way, who was it? Bruce found a slight typo here. It's hemocrit, not hemocrit, but I'll fix
thank you.
that. So have you made any other edits?
No.
Okay.
I did, and I pushed it, so
all right.
You can make the edit and save. All right, here we go. Thank you, Bruce. I did that one off the top of my head. Should have known better. The one thing I was disappointed with was that workouts on the Apple Watch would not give me any credit for physical therapy. I thought at the very least I could get it to measure how far I was walking if I put on an open outdoor walk to go over to the PT gym. I think it was around like 200 feet away. I mean, I went around a bunch of different corners walking the halls, but it only gave me credit for 27 feet. I had heard complaints back in the early days of the Apple Watch from people who walked with strollers that they didn't get distance credit. The assumption at the time has been that if you strike, oh shoot. Okay, that's a big old typo there. Can you save what you did?
Yeah, I saved it.
Okay, I'm going to fix this because I don't know. It's just, I think I was dictating today. Strike. The option has been that. Okay, there we go. It's going to disappear, isn't it? Back to where we were. The assumption at the time is the assumption has been that since people who push strollers don't swing their arms, that's why they don't get credit. Now with a walker, I am swinging my arms, but in a completely different way and both at the same time. I guess I'd assume that Apple had figured out how to measure walking distances even if you don't swing your arms, but I guess I was wrong. I just changed it to other, which is great because it gives you like 5 times as much workout credit in calories than you're actually doing. I'm going to close my hospital tech article with something funny about my physical therapist. His name was Jay, and the first time he talked to me, of course, I mentioned the podcast and how into Apple tech I was. He said, I don't wear an Apple Watch, but I do have an iPhone. What's it for anyway? What am I supposed to do with it? Man, I figured this could be a very long couple of weeks if I couldn't even talk about tech with this guy. But get this, the next day, we're chatting while I was doing some leg work, and he really surprised me. He said, hey, I was reading some stuff online, and I heard about how people are using Mac Minis with OpenClaw as an agentic AI to get things done. That's pretty crazy, isn't it? I couldn't believe it. I gave him such a hard time. You pretended to be a Luddite. He just got a grin on his face and said, I can't show all my cards on the first day. I love that. The other thing was, you remember last week I put a link to a video by Brian Regan where he talked about being in the hospital and how painful a broken femur was? Turns out Jay is easily as big a fan of Brian Regan as Steve and me. We've never met anyone else who could quote every single Brian Regan line. In fact, the way we found out was he brought up the broken femur line. Well, I'm going to close this out and say that the only thing I can't control now is how fast my bones heal. So I will definitely be laid up for another 3 to 5 weeks. But I'm very glad to be home with my high-speed internet, Kepler, our cats Ada and Grace, and of course, Steve.
I'm glad I got a mention in there.
Yeah, late at the end, after the internet.
Well, I knew that. I know your priorities.
Exactly.
All right, Eddie's up next.
Eddie. Yeah. All right, let me send a blog in case I forgot to.
Oh, did you? Oh, that's what you're doing. Okay.
No. ViewSonic's next.
Oh,
Right?
I guess so.
Isn't that what you see?
Yes.
You know, I'm thinking of asking them to let us test one of these.
That
And
is
by
Allison
us, I mean you.
Sockhelper.
I like how John cuts me out of the photo. It's good. It's good.
That's something that Kevin would do. I look at that picture. I'm just thinking how cold that was.
I'm just thinking how glad I am that I got injured after that.
Oh man, yeah, that trip would have been canceled for us,
Yeah.
or could have been during the trip.
Oof! Don't even say it. Okay, here we go. No, actually, I'm going to play a little bit of this so I can find a little GIF of Steve that you guys will like. Let's see how that lines up. I think I need that over a little bit more. Ada and Grace, and of course, Steve.
Hi, Eddie here, with a mini review of my favourite tool of 2026.
Wait a minute.
So
I
far.
thought you said Eddie.
And
we're
what
going
I
to
use
do
it for.
ViewSonic.
It's VS Code, a Microsoft
You're
product
right.
that I stumbled upon.
Thank you. Right you are. And you know I'm
I
good at
probably
fixing
did
that.
that to you by mentioning Eddie.
Let's see. So, ViewSonic. Oh, there's my to-do list. I saved it in the wrong folder. Okay, so I'm going to pull you out here. And we don't need that. Okay. Thank you for noticing that. Bring this over some. Steve. If you've been paying attention for a while, you'll know that I am in love with my 4K portable display from ViewSonic, and so I ran over to talk to Alex Lane so he could tell us what other products they have here at CES.
Yeah, so it's here we have a very exciting new portable monitor that we have. It's coming out in Q2 of this year. It is a dual screen portable. So as you'll see right here, we have two separate displays. On the top, both of them are connected to the same model right now, or the same computer right now. But you can connect it to two separate computers, so it can have one model displaying at the top, one on the bottom. Something else that's really cool about it is if you turn it like this into
So
our
it's like
share
a
mode-
tent?
Yes, like a tent. It'll have a G sensor to swap over to the side, so you can have one person on one side of the desk, another on the other.
Let me describe this a little more in detail. So when he's got it up in the initial mode, it's basically a 14-inch widescreen display, and then it comes to a hinge, and then there's just another one sitting right up above it.
Yes,
And then he flipped it into that tent mode so you could share between two people.
Yeah.
So you're doing a presentation, you can see what you're doing and on an external monitor.
Yeah, so you can mirror it. You can have two people working on two separate things at the same time. Super versatile. It's also really nice with the cable management because all of the cables are built into the base itself. So you don't have to have any kind of cables on the side. It doesn't look ugly like that.
And I got to tell you, that is one of the main selling features of the reason I chose the one from you guys is. All right. See, you don't. I couldn't put the GIF in, by the way. It was too big.
Okay.
That's 872 kilobytes as an MOV, but the GIF was 13 megabytes.
Wow.
I bet if I
Yeah,
put
I
it in
think-
Handbrake, it would fix it.
I think GIFs are stored as a series of still photos.
I guess.
And each one is probably super high res or something.
Let's see. Now it's Eddie.
Now it's Eddie. All right.
What?
I don't think I pulled up that link.
All right. I'm going to actually say something here first. Nah. Never mind. Just do what you were going to do. Happy upbeat kids. It's going to be a long episode. And Eddie is not talking about doing books. He came up with another topic. Oh, you're thinking of Kaylee. But wait, John, you know Kaylee. And Frank is in Japan. Does that count? You can bring us bacon quicker.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Eddie here, with a mini review of my favourite tool of 2026 so far, and what I use it for.
He just must love doing content because he's like stacking them up. I love his voice. My only fear is I feel like we're getting a little AI heavy. Support the show. I was thinking, I wonder if I could lay down on the ground, but I realized I wouldn't be able to get up. The world is getting a bit AI heavy. Yeah, it is. All right. When I was in the hospital and rehab, I of course managed to brag about having the longest running Apple podcast of all of the captive nurses and nurses' assistants, physical therapists, and occupational therapists. I don't think I mentioned it to the doctors. Anyway, the second question most people ask is, why did I say the second question? It's the first question. Actually, I'm going to say, I don't think I mentioned it to the doctors. If they show any interest at all, the second question most people ask is, do you make any money at it? I explained that I do a little better than breaking even. Do you know how that happens? It's because lovely people like you go to podfeet.com/Patreon and pledge their support of the work we do here. If you find that you get value out of the work, please consider becoming a patron of the Podfeet podcasts. All right. Chit-chat across the pond, and then we're done. It's going to be a long show.
Yeah, let's see what you're at here.
I'm starting that at 37:27.
Mm-hmm.
I think
How long is the chit chat?
Oh, it's got to be an hour. I got to go find it though. Where is it? I did it. What did I do? I think I worked on it in the hospital, thinking it was last week, which turned out really handy. Oh, nuts. I don't think I exported a version. Okay, I'm going to have to switch to, you may lose your screen here for a second.
All right. You seem to be muted. Maybe that's intentional. Not hearing. Hold, please, folks, while Allison does some tricky stuff that she's refusing to explain.
Okay, can you hear me now?
There you go.
Wait, that's weird. And that's the wrong file. Hang on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
That's very weird. I don't know why. Not sure why that muted me. All I did was open a different Discord or a different Hindenburg file. And then I grabbed the wrong Hindenburg file and you could hear me. So I don't know. Okay, so let's see here how this, where do you want to be? How about maybe there? Out of the work, please consider becoming a patron of the Podfeet Podcasts. Nope. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Chit Chat Across the Pond. This is episode number 830 for February 25th, 2026, and I'm your host, Allison Sheridan. Well, this week our guest is the charming Adam Engst of Tidbits. How are you doing today, Adam?
I'm doing fine. Charming. I like them charming. Who do I get to charm today?
I got tired of saying delightful, so I went to the thesaurus today and looked up words that mean delightful. I'm glad you noticed. So I'm sorry. All right. He's charming and delightful. I see. Okay.
So do you want to tell your audience? Well, I guess it's in the chat room. What you
What
guys
it's
talked
about?
about, just summarize.
Yeah, he has this vision that Siri could be the help tool for your Mac because Apple has all of the, sorry, I just let off mine too. Apple has all of the documentation from the developer tools, from the development environment. I'm not saying that properly. The developers, all of the development that goes into making Mac OS, all of the help files exist in their database and they have access to all of that. Why don't they train Siri on all of the documentation and then make that be an agentic helper, that answers all your questions?
For developers.
No, for users. Like, why can't you just say, how do I change the order of my Wi-Fi settings? And it just goes, oh, here, let me show you.
I wonder if it would be at a level where, because it's written for developers, right?
Well, but it has all the code and the documentation of the code, so it knows how it works. The information exists.
Yeah, I wonder if it could tailor the response, the agentic AI could tailor the response to an average user. I guess it could. Yeah, I mean, you could tell it to do that.
Should be able to.
If it's not, just tone it down. Make it less technical.
If you think about what it's doing right now. All right, we're going to close
Siri
this out
is
because
weak.
I can't sit in this chair much longer.
All right, close it out.
If I spell it correctly.
Always a pleasure, Allison.
Well, I'm happy to tell you that it did spell tidbits.com correctly. Can't spell Bart to save its soul, but it did spell tidbits correctly. All right, that's going to wind us up for this week. Did you know you can email me at allison@podfeet.com anytime you like? If you have a question or a suggestion or a review to help me out while I'm recuperating, just send it on over. Remember, everything good starts with podfeet.com. You can follow me on Mastodon at podfeet.com/Mastodon. If you want to listen to the podcast on YouTube, you can go to podfeet.com/YouTube. If you want to join in the conversation, I highly recommend joining our Slack community at podfeet.com/Slack, where you can talk to Eddie Tonko and everybody else who's super fun over there. Lost my place. Just stop paying attention. I am not on my A game, guys. Doing my best, though. You can support the show at podfeet.com/Patreon or with a one-time donation at podfeet.com/donate. You can use Apple Pay or any credit card there. Or if you like PayPal, podfeet.com/PayPal. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed.
All right, you did it.
Thank you, Seamus. Seamus just said nice things about my travelogue.
Excellent.
Well,
You
that's
do put
good.
a lot of work into it, and it does take effort because you're coming back from a long day, and you're tired, and you have to spend another hour
Yeah.
pulling that together.
The funniest one was we got back to the room and I was just like, I can't do it. I am just exhausted. This is just so, and I looked at the clock and it was 8:31.
Well, we had been doing a lot that day.
We had, and
And-
I just typed.
And it was dark. We were
Yeah.
north of the Arctic Circle. It seemed late.
Yeah, it seemed late. All right. Well, I am actually exporting the show 15 minutes early here.
Good job.
I think we're set. Well, thank you everybody for coming. I will maybe I can sit in the chair a little longer next week. We'll see how that goes.
I
Don't
bet you'll
know.
be able to.
I hope so. Every day is a little bit better.
Yep.
All right.
You're on the mend.
I am. Thank you for coming, everybody. It was good. Typing while exhausted. Thanks, Zoe. Oh, no chapter count.
Oh,
Good job, Lynn.
Who caught it? Lynn. Okay. Good job. Okay.
We don't listen to Kevin anymore, apparently. I get 6.
Good.
Thanks, Lynn. Thanks again for the brownies. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Have a good week.